Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the original Season 2, Episode 8, The Brothers That Care Forgot. And holy shit, guys, this episode was explosive. Like, this episode was huge. This was the game changer of the season, because now we have everyone finally back together. We have people who were against each other now with each other, and I think it's really awesome. It's all really gearing up to take down Finn and Esther, and I think that really is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, and unfortunately we have to wait 2 weeks for the finale, for the mid-season finale, but let's just get to this episode, because this was by far the best episode of the season. There were so many great things in this episode, and I was really looking forward to it, because of course the way last week's episode and the fact that Rebekah would be back. And did that pay off? Yeah, definitely having Rebekah back definitely paid off. And let's get to this episode, because I just, oh my god, I loved it. And every single episode of the show is better than the last. That's how it's been this season. Every single episode, better than the last. And I think it's really cool the way that's done. But let's just get to this episode because it was epic. So, Klaus talks to Finn and Cole, and I thought this was interesting. We start off with, like, sort of like we see, like, this playground, and Klaus is talking to Finn and Cole about how all of us arriving in the world as wide-eyed, innocent, and vulnerable, and parents being tasked with protecting us. And we then see Rebekah with Hope here, and I thought that was interesting. And he says their own parents failed miserably at that, even basic tasks, but says they can let go of their past. And he says a new future waits and tells his brothers they don't have to live as either of their bad parents want. And he says to forget anonymous, animosity against he and Elijah and focus on hating their mother, and they will welcome them with open arms. So you can tell right away what Klaus's plan is. He wants to get them to turn against Esther and work with them, which I think is a valid plan. It makes sense why Klaus wants to do this. I mean, it definitely makes sense, because, I mean, Klaus needs allies, and he has them, so why not use them? But I think it's definitely interesting what's going on there. And Klaus says if they continue to oppose them, though, they will face a worse fate. And they're still chained up, so Elijah says he wanted to dismember them, but Klaus wanted to make them an offer. And I was surprised that Elijah is being, Klaus is being the rational one here, and Elijah is being the violent one. Usually Elijah's the violent one, and Klaus is the rational one. But no, and I thought that was interesting the way the show's kind of doing that. The show's kind of getting us to sort of change our opinions on some characters, especially Klaus. Klaus has changed tremendously this season, and I love that about his character, definitely. And basically, Klaus says they can't choose to stand beside them as brothers, and Finn says they haven't been brothers in ages and asks where Rebekah is. Because, of course, the thing is, they want to know what happened to Rebekah. They basically think that Rebekah's gone because of them, which she kind of is, but the reason Rebekah was gone was because, again, she could not handle the pressure, and she couldn't handle what was going on. That's why Rebekah left, if you remember, because she couldn't handle the pressure, she couldn't handle the constant stress, there was too much going on, and that's why she left and packed, and now we know that she is watching Klaus's child, so that's why she left. But, of course, Finn and Cole were just, recently came back, so they don't know what's going on, and it was interesting, and, I had to remind myself, oh yeah, it's been that long since Rebekah's been gone. I mean, I forgot about Rebekah leaving and why she left, but then I'm like, oh yeah, that's why she left. And I like that the show gets us to remember that, because it's been a very long time since we last saw Rebekah. The last time we saw Rebekah was, yes, we did see her briefly, first episode of the season, but in actual, full episode like this, a whole role, the last time we saw her was last year's season finale. That's when we saw her. So Finn asks how she escaped Klaus's vile behavior, and Finn says their mother was just trying to make them mortal, and that proves how far they've fallen. And he says he thinks Rebekah would see that offer differently. And if you remember, Rebekah was against Klaus. She was ready to turn against Klaus before she left, but she didn't leave because she didn't want to, cause any damage or anything, so that's why she left. And, it makes sense why she left, basically. So Elijah threatens Finn if he goes near their sister, and Finn tells her that their mother has been searching for Rebekah since the day they returned, and he thinks it's only a matter of time. By the way, we do not see Esther throughout this whole episode, which is awesome because it's really anticipating what's going to happen in the mid-season finale. And Elijah attacks Finn, and Klaus pulls him off of him and takes him to talk, and Elijah tells him he needs to think about what would happen to Rebekah and Hope if Esther finds them. Because, of course, if Esther finds them, we know that Esther will kill Hope no matter what. That's the plan, is to kill Hope. So Klaus has to somehow get everyone on board with this. And Klaus says the world has shifted on its axis for him to be counseling Elijah with restraint. And I think it's interesting that he said that, because again, like, usually Elijah's the rational one and Klaus the violent one, but that's not the way it is right now. And then we get a very interesting scene. We find out why Rebekah is with Hope. Rebekah is Hope at a playground, but then feels like she's being watched. She sees a line of blackbirds staring her, so that's really creepy. She snatches Hope, calls Elijah. This was a legitimately creepy scene. And she then calls Elijah and tells him that their mother has found her, and she says she's on the run, and Klaus tells her to head west. And you can tell right away that Rebekah's in on it, which I love. And Elijah says he'll tell Hayley, but Rebekah says not to. She says the only thing they have going for them is that Esther thinks Hope is dead. Because if you remember, most of them don't, a lot of them don't know that Hope is alive. You know, the only people that know that Hope is alive is Elijah, Klaus, Hayley, and Rebekah. Those are the only people that know that Hope is alive. And, you know, if Esther continues to think she's dead, then she's not going to come after Hope. So it makes sense. And I definitely really enjoy that. So Klaus tells Elijah he can't kill Finn and Cole and says he needs them on their side. So he can't kill them. They need them. And he tells Elijah to do what he needs to do so he can keep Hope safe. And I thought that was just a really great scene. And then we see Aiden. And Aiden tells Jackson and Hayley that he's sure the witches will figure out that he pulled the job with them. And Hayley tells Aiden to set a meeting with the other wolves, but Aiden says the witches gave them power with the rings. And Jack tells him to set it, and he goes to drink, and Hayley tells him not to get drunk. He shows her volumes where he wrote down every word Ansel told them about their people. And he says if he had known he was Klaus's father, he would have asked him a lot more questions. And he says now that Ansel's dead and he hasn't gained anything helpful from the journals, he goes to get, you know, I thought that was definitely, I really felt bad for Jackson because, I mean, Ansel died, so now all that, like, research he did is basically pointless. So I really felt bad for Jackson because of that, definitely. So Jackson tells him to set it, and basically, he goes to get a beer. Hayley looks at the books, and then we get a really great scene. Now, Davina in this episode, oh my god, Davina. Davina is so clueless. Like, she has no idea what's going on. Like, throughout this whole episode, she's very clueless, and I like the episode really showed us that. Like, there are parts in the episode that were trying to get us to turn against Davina, but I like they didn't do that because I like Davina. I don't hate her at all. So I don't hate Davina at all. I think she is a very good character, and she's well developed. So, Davina goes to tell Marcel that Cole took the steak from her. Marcel says he took the steak and Cole and delivered both to Klaus, and she's freaking out because she wants to kill Klaus. As we know, that's her thing, is she wants to kill Klaus. And she says Klaus will kill Caleb, and Marcel tells her that his name is Cole, and that if Klaus was going to kill him, he had 1,000 years to do it. And I agree with what he's saying. If Klaus wanted to kill Cole, he would have done it by now. Think of all the people Klaus has killed. Think of the person he used to be. If he really wanted to kill his brother, he would have done it. Think of all the times he tried to kill Michael this season. Like, he would have killed Cole. Okay, I completely agree with what, what Marcel is saying there. So Marcel tells her he knows Cole much better than she does, and says it's for the best. He tells her to stick with Josh while he runs errands, and Cole tells Finn they need to get out of there since Cole is off his rocket, and Finn says there are opportunities there, and Cole asks if it's a chance for a beating. And that was definitely a very big scene. So Klaus brings Marcel in, and I love the way he does. He's like, I brought a friend, and I thought that was just so awesome, the way Klaus is in this episode. Like, Klaus, as I said, by far the best character on the show. Like, he really is, and this scene really proves it. Like, this was just awesome. He says he's happy to see them again, and Cole asks Marcel if he isn't tired of getting bullied by Klaus, but Marcel says he volunteered for this. That's because, you know, they have that agreement now that they're going to work together. And he shoves Cole and says he messed with Davina and now wants to drag Rebekah in. And he's obviously very pissed at Cole. He tells him it's not happening. And Klaus tells them that he'll settle for just one of them joining him. And the others can face a future of agonizing torture. And he asks which one will be and smiles. And Marcel drags Cole to a chair, says he's going to enjoy this since he's the Michelson he's always hated most. And Cole tells him that Davina quite likes him. And Marcel threatens to cut parts off of him, so he means business here. Like, he means business totally. And Marcel says after Esther is gone, they won't need them anymore, but Cole says he can help him return to power. And Marcel says he can't trust him, and at least Klaus is a devil, he knows. And Marcel tells Cole to tell him the plan, and maybe he'll get to live. So he attacks, and Cole screams, and that was just awesome, because Marcel's torturing him, and he's getting his revenge, basically, on him for what he did to Davina. And I like that he's doing that, because I thought that was definitely really awesome. So Josh then tells Davina that he knew what Marcel was playing, but couldn't tell her. She says she's sick of Klaus running everything. He says he gets that too. And he tells her he's got a new guy and shows her a picture of Aiden. And this is when, basically, and I like this overall. You know, I like the friendship. I've always liked the friendship between Josh and Davina. I think it's a good friendship. I think they work well together. And I've always liked this. So he shows her a pic of, and says basically they are dating. And she tells him to invite him over so she can meet him. And I like the way they're portraying this. So not overly, like, you know, this is not like, oh, yay, gotta get something for the gays. No, that's not what this is. This is just, you know, they're portraying it as another romance, and I like that, because when a show, like, overshadows gay stuff, I mean, I'm no, like, homophobe or anything. I mean, as I've said before, if you're a gay person, I respect you for that. I think you're great if you are, but at the same time, sometimes shows show it too much, and it can sometimes get a little bit annoying. But this show, I like the way they're portraying it. They're not overly showing it. It's just a part of the show, which I like. So she tells him to invite him over so she can meet him. And, basically, that's what's going to happen there. So Klaus asks Finn if he thinks Esther is worried about his well-being. And Finn says she knows he can take care of himself. And Klaus tells Finn he understands attachment to her and says she clung to him and made him feel guilty. And he tells Finn he was a good son and says back then he was a child who wouldn't question a parent, but says he's a man now. And Finn says that is no reason to join his wretched cause. He does not want you help Klaus. So he really wants nothing to do with it, and it's actually really awesome to watch, because the guy that plays Finn just got, you know, promoted to a series regular, so it's great to see him having more to do on this show, because he's really awesome. And Finn says that is no reason to join his cause, and Klaus says this is a chance to free him from her manipulations. He says he'll give him a chance to choose his own path, something she never did. And, yeah, so he's basically trying to give him something, you know, give him some sort of, you know, sort of do what Esther wanted to do to Klaus, you know, sort of when she told him, you do this for me, I'll turn you into a werewolf. He wants to let, you know, Finn choose his own destiny. What does he exactly want to be? And I thought that was a good, you know, sort of like reasonable plan that Klaus is getting. I mean, it was a good compromise, but of course, Finn's not going to listen to him, because Finn's an antagonist. He's not going to listen to him. So Hayley brings a volume to Jackson and asks why he didn't tell her about the unification ceremony, giving the pack more power. By the way, one other quick thing I want to say. I agree with what Marcel said to Davina about Cole. At the same time, I still want to know, do you guys think Cole has genuine feelings for Davina? There are times when I feel like he does, but after what Marcel says, I kind of agree with what he's saying. Because Marcel said to Davina that he's playing you. He wants nothing to do with you. He really is just doing what his mother wants him to do. And it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, he openly revealed to Davina his true identity. Esther didn't tell him to do that, and he went against his mother last week. So I kind of feel he does care for Davina, but I'm really not sure at this point. I mean, the show really just, I don't know what to think in terms of that. So basically, he said, going back to Hayley and Jackson, he says at first he didn't believe Ansel about it, but now that he knows he was 1,000 years old, he must have seen it. He says the alphas of each bloodline were married, and they then mysteriously inherited all the powers of each pack. Because if you remember, Jackson said to Hayley that they should be married, that he wanted to marry her. And Hayley says she has a unique ability as a hybrid. She can control when she shifts, and she says if she can pass that power to the pack, they won't need Esther's wings. And Jack tells her that the vows have to be real, and the marriage has to be real in order for it to work, and he asks if she's up for that. And she doesn't say anything, and he says he says he didn't think so. So Cami wakes up to the sound of her phone, and she holds her head, and right away you can tell that it looks like it hurts. And it's because, you know, she has a hangover and everything, and it's Hayley calling for a favor. So she comes over, and Cami thinks she's coming down with something. She wants to see her uncle's files on the mystic marriage ceremony. And Cami gives her exactly what she has, which are those files. That's what Hayley wanted, were the files. So Cami gives it to her, and she asks Hayley if Jackson has any answers, but she says he doesn't even want to talk about it. And Cami asks if Jackson knows about Elijah, and she says the two have barely spoken. And I really like that they reminded us that Hayley and Elijah were a thing, because they announced that they are actually going to, you know, have some stuff with them in the Christmas special. So I like that they're building back up to that. But the thing is, we're pushing Hayley and Jackson right now. So Hayley and Elijah cannot be a thing if we're pushing Hayley and Jackson. Hayley and Jackson, in my opinion, definitely do not have as much chemistry as Hayley and Elijah. Like, they definitely have a lot more, you know, chemistry, in my opinion. But I do like Jackson and Hayley. I do like them overall. They're not bad or anything. I just say Hayley and Elijah is what I would like. So Cami asked if Jackson knows about Elijah, and she says that you have barely spoken since she became a hybrid, and Cami tells her that she needs to figure out what's best for her, and Hayley sees marks on her back and asks what it is. And she looks in the mirror and is mystified, because it looks like a line of holes. So, I don't know what this means. I mean, I'm just like, what is this? What does any of this mean? So Josh invites Aiden over to meet Davina. She goes to order food for them and has cool music playing. She gives him some alone time. And Josh tells Aiden the wolves really look up to him and tells him he's a badass and should just tell them what to do. He says he's not the alpha, and Josh says if Aiden sticks with Jackson, the pack will listen. He tells Aiden he thinks he's amazing, and they kiss. So they have a relationship now, and I like their relationship. I like that Josh is finally getting someone that genuinely likes him, because I believe Josh kind of, like, complained about it last season, and I'm happy that Josh is getting a genuine love interest, because if you remember, he was upset about it, and he wanted a love interest. He wanted someone to love him, and now he has someone, and I think that's great that he has someone. He's basically gotten what he wanted, so I'm happy for Josh because of that. I think he's a very good character. I mean, Josh has had a lot to do, you know, in the show, and I was very happy that he got that. So then we see that Josh tells him he thinks Davina's spying, and they call to her, but she's not there. So I'm like, where's Davina? Turns out she's in Cole's crypt of magic toys, and she had him bring Aiden there to distract Josh so she could get away and do some witchery. So she kind of had another plan on the side, which was really, really awesome. She mixes up a batch of something and chants. The stuff turns black and gooey. She drinks it down. Cole is panting in pain, and Marcel says then they can keep this up or he can kill him now and turn him back into a new baby vampire. And you can still see the Marcel torturing her. I mean, there's some awesome stuff going on here. Cole says that won't stop his mom. She will just pop him into another, you know, body. And Marcel asks what his plans are for Davina, and Cole asks if he's worried he'll break her heart. And Klaus comes in, and Cole tells him he knew he always cared more for Marcel and then him, and dagger him multiple times. Klaus says he knows he's desperate to be part of their family, and Klaus says he knows he's slighted him, but can make it up to him, and Cole looks pretty interested by this. Finn, it doesn't seem like he's convincing him, but Cole might be easy to, you know, he might be easy to interest Cole, so I thought this was interesting, and I was like, okay, maybe Cole's actually going to listen to Klaus, and maybe this is actually going to work. I mean, there were things that didn't seem like they were going to work, but this seemed like it could have worked, so I like where this is heading. That was definitely very awesome. So now let's get to the second half of this episode. That was basically the first half of this episode. The second half of this episode, though, is when things got absolutely insane. Like, things just got insane the second half of this episode. Like, I love the second half of this episode. That's really when this episode, I was like, this is by far the best episode of the season. Because what ends up happening is, remember how Davina and Cole were working together? Well, Klaus ends up meeting up with Davina, and he tries to talk her out of it at first. You know how Klaus is being all rational and everything? Yeah, Klaus and Davina have this one really awesome fight, which I was, like, so happy about. I was like, yes, I love this fight going on here. Because I actually didn't like Davina that much in this episode. I usually really like her. But this episode, she was completely naive. She had no idea what was going on. And she's beating the shit out of Klaus because she thinks he's the problem, when she doesn't realize it's Esther that's the problem. And I don't understand why Davina doesn't realize that Esther is the problem. It doesn't make sense to me why she doesn't realize it. Like, is she really that dumb? Like, seriously, Davina, what's wrong with you? I mean, seriously, Davina needs to realize that this is not the problem here. The problem is not Klaus. The problem is his mother. That's the problem. So they get into a really crazy fight and everything, and it's absolutely crazy. And then Davina says something to Klaus that was huge. You know, he tells her that she can't beat him, and she tells him he's weak, and she says, you know what Michael said? He said you were weak, and I'm like, oh shit. he said you were weak too, and I agree. And when she said that, I was like, oh shit, Klaus is coming after her. He bites her on the neck, and there she dies. Not dies, but like, it looks like she's about to, it looks like he really hurt her, but he goes down and is passed out, so Davina basically got what she wanted. She got a good fight with Klaus, which I thought was really awesome. I wasn't expecting a really awesome fight with Klaus, so that was pretty cool that happened. I really enjoyed that overall. With Rebekah and Elijah does end up meeting up with Rebekah and everything, and they're talking about what to do with the baby, should Rebekah keep, handling it and everything, but Rebekah says she plans on not, giving the baby back to Klaus. That's what she plans on doing, and Elijah's trying to convince her out of it, basically, and she ends up breaking his neck just because he, was trying to convince her to do it, and she couldn't, she didn't need him there, she didn't really need him there. He was kind of annoying her, and I understand why she did what she did. I mean, that was pretty awesome when she just, did that to him. I thought that was really awesome, and I definitely, really, really enjoyed that, and we'll get some more to Rebekah in a second, but let's talk about what I love about this episode. Everyone is back together. Everyone's a family again, and I really love that, because Cami and Hayley, not Hayley, but Cami and Marcel try to convince Davina that Klaus is not the problem. They're trying to convince her that, look, it's not Klaus is the problem. She's like, well, why isn't Klaus the problem? I mean, I don't care what happens to Klaus, but they basically tell her, look, Klaus is not the problem, and you need to listen to us, or else this is not going to end well. So they're trying to convince Davina to come to work with them, and eventually she decides that she is going to work with them in terms of Esther. And when she said that, I thought that was awesome. I love what they're planning on doing with Esther. I mean, they're basically just planning on having this huge war, and basically my predictions are coming true. My predictions with what's going to happen are coming true, because as I said before, what I thought was going to happen is that they're going to get, everyone involved in this, and now my predictions are correct, because, it's basically now the werewolves are combined with the vampires, and they're all working together to take down Esther. That's how powerful she really is. She's that powerful that you can't just have Klaus try to take her down. It doesn't work. You need a whole army of people to take her down, and it's really awesome because it's really reminiscent of the first episode of the season, which had a really badass battle, but this is even more awesome and even more badass, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm glad that Davina's back to working with them. I'm very happy about that. Klaus eventually wakes up and everything. He's convinced Cole to be on their side, so Cole's working with them now, which I'm very happy about. I'm very happy that, Klaus was able to convince Cole to work with them, because Cole needs to work with them, okay? If anyone needs to work with them, it is Cole. Cole really needs to work with them, because, I mean, I think he made Cole interested, and it worked with Cole. It's not working with Finn, though, because Finn is still against them, so it's not going to end well there. And also, Hayley and Jackson, let's get to this. Hayley's trying to convince the wolves and everything to band together and still work together to take down Esther, trying to find out the right way to do it. And what she decides to do is that if she marries Jackson, they will stand united. And Jackson looks at her with this huge look on his face and everything. And I was shocked when she said that. I'm like, okay, she's really gonna go through with this. And basically, she shows up to Klaus and everything. And she talks about Rebekah. And also, Klaus ends up meeting up with Rebekah again. It was great that Rebekah had a lot to do in this episode. She only had a couple scenes, but she still had a lot to do, definitely. And he tells her that they're going to see their child, and she tells him that she's going to marry Jackson and everything. And that's really crazy, because I'm definitely interested in seeing what Elijah's reaction to this is going to be, because it's going to be very interesting. And I love the way Klaus ends the episode. He's just like, you think this tonight was awesome. Well, you're definitely not going to want to wait to see what happens tomorrow night. And he tells him that's all going down on Christmas, and shit's going to go down then. And I can't wait to see what happens. Also, we find out something also that's amazing. I forgot to talk about one of the best twists of the episode. Cami. We find out that Cami, and I think this is really interesting, those holes in her back, that is because Esther somehow, when she captured her, compelled her so she could take over her body and possess Cami. And I think that's amazing that, you know, basically possess her body. And I think that's an amazing twist. I would have never guessed that, but I think that's amazing what's going on there. And now I have so many questions, guys. Oh my god, the show just leaves you with a million questions. And I love that they do that because there are just so many things I'm wondering right now, and I really want to talk about a lot of things that are going on here. First of all, what is going to happen now with, you know, Klaus? What is going to happen now with this fight? I don't know what's going to happen. I do think someone's going to die. I think they're probably going to kill off a major character because of this. And I'm honestly wondering if they're going to be able to beat Esther. I don't know if this is going to last the whole season, if this is going to last just this half of the season. I'm pretty sure it's just going to last, I'm pretty sure it's going to last all season because Finn is a series regular right now. Esther's not, but Finn is. So I'm thinking this is probably going to last the whole season. Do you think that they convinced Davina? I think they're good with that. Is Hayley really going to go through with this marriage? I don't know. Jackson is very hesitant about doing it because he knows that her and Elijah have a lot of chemistry. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I understand why she's doing it, but I don't know if she's really going to go through with this marriage. We'll have to see what happens there. Is something bad going to happen to Cami? I honestly could see them maybe taking down Esther and then Esther getting revenge by taking over Cami. I've thought of something bad happening to Cami all season long. If that happened, that would be exactly what needs to happen because that'd be really awesome if that ends up happening. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. What is Rebekah going to do with Hope? Is she going to give it back to Klaus or are they going to still need to protect Hope? We'll have to see what happens there. What is Elijah's reaction going to be to Hayley and Jackson's sudden engagement? That's going to be amazing to watch. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next episode. Oh my god, guys, this episode was so good. I love where we're heading. I love that the group is back together. I love that they're now back to being a family. I love that they're not turning against each other. You know, Marcel's working with Klaus, Davina's working with Klaus. I love that everyone's really working together. My only other question is Michael. Are we going to see Michael again? They've referenced him several times throughout this episode. And, you know, he ran away, you know, because he thought that Klaus couldn't put up a fight, so that's why he ran away and everything. My question is, are we going to see Michael again? Because if we do see him again, I really would like to, and I hope that does happen. But I don't know if we're really going to see him again. We'll have to see what happens there. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this episode was by far the best episode of the season. I loved everything that happened in it. What did you guys think of seeing Rebekah again? And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the mid-season finale of Gotham. And by the way, guys, why does the CW do this to me? Why do I have to wait till December 8th? First of all, I can't watch the episode live because I have a choir rehearsal from like 6 to 9 because that's so I'm not going to be able to watch the episode live, which really pisses me off because I want to be able to. And two, I don't understand why I have to wait 2 weeks. Why can't you just put it on next week? It's not like it's Thanksgiving week next week. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why do I have to wait 2 weeks? I'm not happy about this at all. But I'll see you guys, and I love that the original does that, because it's a good show. You know it's a good show when you're upset that they're going on a hiatus. But I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Gotham. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.